Managerial Accounting, Chapter 1 Overview. So in Chapter 1, we discussed the 7 key differences of financial and managerial accounting. So up until now, in your accounting track, you just finished intermediate accounting, which was financial accounting. And the users of this information are external people who make financial decisions, shareholders, banks, investors, things like that. Whereas managerial accounting is meant for managers who plan for and control an organization. The time focus. So in financial accounting, the time focus is on a historical purpose. Sales happen, we report them, and then we look at the data. Managerial accounting, the emphasis is on the future. So what is going to happen? Even though yesterday happened, what do we think is going to happen in the future? Verifiability versus relevance. There is an emphasis on financial accounting on objectivity and the ability to verify the material. And in managerial accounting, remember, you're planning and controlling an organization that changes every day. The emphasis is on relevance. So that's why we could potentially arrive at a decision in a different way in managerial accounting, when in financial accounting, it's pretty straightforward. There are standards, we must be objective, we must be able to verify, we must be able to compare, and this is really meant for decision making internally. The precision versus timeliness. There is an emphasis, so frequently you'll hear last quarter's results. So remember, you're looking at a historical perspective in financial accounting, and in managerial accounting, especially in a manufacturing setting, you want to know what's happening right now or what you expect in the future, because this information is going to change how you make a decision. If you let a problem in the manufacturing line linger, that's going to be a huge problem when you could have stopped it. So timeliness is very important here. The subject of financial accounting is a primary focus on company-wide, whereas in managerial accounting, it's very focused on segment. A product line, a specific products, and so that's the real focus, segment reporting. And the rules, you must follow GAAP, IFRS, and prescribed formats. You are not bound in managerial accounting by GAAP or any other prescribed format. And you are required to mandate, so if you're a publicly traded company, you must produce financials, and they are required in a specific format. In managerial accounting, none of this is required. It's to plan and control for an organization. So the work of management. In an organization, instead of being a financial accountant where you check the books and audit or something like that of another company, if you work internally as a cost accountant or in any type of management format, you would be planning, controlling, and then making decisions with this. What is planning? Well, the very first thing in planning is that you must set specific goals. Because if you don't have a goal, how can you measure it? So you must establish goals, and you must specify how you will achieve each goal. A lot of times people set goals that aren't achievable, so that's not very good in planning, because how will we achieve this? And so you establish a goal, specify how it will be achieved, and then you develop a budget. That's the planning phase. Now, controlling. The control function is gathering feedback to ensure that the plans are being followed. Feedback in the form of performance reports that compares actual results with budget are an essential part of the control function. Later in this book, we will cover actual and expected results with budget, and we will make variance reports. And these are very important because this helps us verify whether it was a people problem or a product problem. Then in the decision making. So now we've planned, we've actually compared actual to our budget. Now what happens? We must make a decision. Decision making involves making a selection among competing alternatives. So what should we sell? A lot of times this will be continue to make the product or drop the product line, or add a new product line, or add a new venture, who should we be serving? Maybe we've branched out too far and diversified too much, and we're not making as much profit as we would want on each product. So what do we do now? Who should we really be serving? And how should we execute this plan? So this is what decision making is. So managerial accounting activities for marketing managers. So lots of times in college you're like, oh, what am I going to do with my career? And what can I do with this? And to be honest, management, these skill sets that you're learning in here can be applied to any major. So if a marketing major was trying to plan, they should say, how much should we budget for TV, print, and internet advertising? How many salespeople should we plan to hire to serve a new territory? Then when they get to the controlling is the budget price cut increasing unit sales as expected? Um, are we accumulating too much inventory during a holiday shopping season? This is part of the controlling aspect. So marketing managers are concerned with selling the product. So they're going to be really focused on the sales side, and did their activities net them money? And then they have to make decisions. Should we sell our services as a bundle? Should we sell them separately? Should we directly sell to the customer? Should we use a distributor? How should we market this? So these are all decisions that marketing majors would have to use. Now let's assume you're going to do the same thing, but you're in operations management. This would be in a manufacturing type setting. How many units should we plan to produce next period? How much should we budget for next period's utility expense? This could also be in a service-based industry, and there's lots of examples in this book about service-based industry. Controlling. Now we get to the controlling aspect. Remember, we're planning, controlling, decision-making. Did we spend more or less on the actual result units that we produced? Are we achieving our goal in reducing the number of defective products? Decision-making. Should we buy a new piece of equipment or upgrade our existing machinery? Should we redesign our manufacturing process to lower inventory levels? These are all decisions an operations management would make. Now let's take this to the human side, human resource management. They have to plan as well. How much should we plan to spend for occupational safety training? How much should we plan to spend on employee recruitment advertising? Is our employee retention rate exceeding our goals? Are we meeting our goal of completing timely performance appraisals? And then when they decision make, should we hire an on-site medical staff to lower our healthcare costs? Or should we hire temporary workers or full-time workers? These are all decisions that must be made in a human resource setting. Just checking our time here. So for accounting majors, many accounting graduates will begin working in public accounting firms. However, most will leave organizations. Actually, it is said by the IMA, the Institute of Management Accountants, estimates that 80% of professional accountants in the U.S. work in non-public environments. This means that 80% are working in some sort of management type capacity. There is a designation. Instead of a CPA, many of you have heard of a CPA, there is a certified management accountant. This is a management accountant who has the necessary qualifications or who passes a rigorous professional exams, earns the right to be a CMA or a certified management accountant. This would be the management side of the CPA. There's a CMA exam. Part 1 is financial planning, performance, and control. So this is planning, budgeting, forecasting, performance measurements, cost management, internal controls, professional ethics. And part 2 is financial decision making, financial statement analysis, corporate finance, decision analysis and risk management, investment decisions, and professional ethics. There's a website if you're interested in finding out more about becoming a certified management accountant. Now, some of the skill sets that is required to be a manager. So lots of people say, I want to be a manager, but what does that really mean? Well, a manager needs a strategy. A strategy is a game plan that enables a company to attract customers by distinguishing itself from its competitors. Apple has a very distinct way of reaching its customers. There's a specific feel. You know when you're in an Apple store, this is how they've distinguished themselves from their competitors. A focal point of the company's strategy should be its target customer. Not every person, or maybe Apple has every person, but not every person is making the switch. They're looking for a specific target customer. So there's such a thing as called customer value propositions. There's customer intimacy strategy. This is understanding and responding to individual customer needs. Have you ever taken a survey or filled something out to answer questions to give more in depth about a place you bought a product or in the mall? So this is where they're trying to gain individual customer needs and responses. Then there's operational excellence strategy. You want to be the best at delivering your products and services faster, more convenient, and at a lower price. Amazon would be an example of this. Over Christmas, there were some delivery problems with UPS, and Amazon actually refunded its customers and gave them credit even though UPS didn't, because Amazon wants to be the best at delivering products faster, more conveniently, and at a lower price. So for them, valued customers, they wanted to make them feel like they have operational excellence strategy. And in that, even if it costs them a little bit of money to maintain that idea, but if they didn't, and the potential of UPS not delivering on time for Christmas is a problem, people might not order at Amazon next time because of their operational excellence. But now, I think they've taken care of that. And then there's product leadership. Offer a high quality product. So if you are the best at selling that product and your product is considered the best on the marketplace, then you have a product leadership strategy. In any enterprise, there's such a thing called enterprise risk management. It is a process used by a company to proactively identify and manage risk. Why would you want to do this? Well, you're looking at timeliness in management accounting and you want to identify risk. Should I try to avoid risk, accept risk, or reduce risk? Well, it depends on what the risk is and how that affects your company. Once a company identifies the risk, first you have to identify it. Perhaps the most common risk management tactic is to reduce risk by implementing specific controls. It might be a backup, for example. I want to reduce the risk of losing my data, so I back up my computer. Here's a little chart with an example of business management risk. Examples of business management risk. Well, number one could be products harming customers. Example of controls to reduce this risk. Develop a formal and rigorous process to test a new product. I've been on several tours, and one of the things is in manufacturing companies, especially depending on the product, is that they do not want to be known for harming their customers. So they could be very stringent, formal, rigorous product testing. Losing market share due to unforeseen actions of competitors. An example to mitigate this risk would be develop an approach for legally gathering information about competitors' plans and practices. You should have people out there testing the marketplace. You should be surveying your customers. You should be gathering information. You should be tracking potential competitors. Poor weather conditions shutting down operations. Develop a contingency plan for overcoming weather-related disruption. With the ability to work remotely now for most people, lots of times this weather-related can be mitigated by allowing your employees to work remotely. So the bad snow that caused our class, well, now we're going to have class online. I'm going to put this video up. A website malfunction. Thoroughly test the website before going live. I think the Obamacare should have potentially done this for that online one, but you can see how this can blow up if you don't have a way of thoroughly testing it. A supplier strike halting the flow of raw materials. For a manufacturing company, this is big. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. You want to provide more than one company that can provide you with raw materials. Financial statements unfairly reporting the value of inventory. Count the physical inventory on hand to make sure it agrees with the accounting records. And an employee accessing unauthorized information. A lot of this is taken care of through management of passwords and prohibiting employees to obtain information that's not needed from their job. So we were just talking about enterprise risk management skills. Now we are moving on to process management skills. Process management skills is a business process in a series of steps that are followed in order to carry out some task in a business. Some business functions that make up a value chain. Research and development. If you're in a manufacturing process and you're designing products, R&D is very important. Product design, manufacturing, marketing, distribution, customer service. Customer service is a big one for me. I will frequently not stay with with a person. For example, Verizon. I'm not a fan of their customer service. I feel they have very poor customer service. I still have AT&T, even though Verizon has better service, cell phone service. I can't handle the customer service, so it's all up to the customer. All right, so you've probably heard of just-in-time manufacturing. Toyota made this what it is today. They were one of the first and the leading in this. But lean production is very different than the traditional production, which we'll show you. So lean production, it doesn't start with a person selling something. It starts with a customer placing an order. Then they create a production order. They generate the component requirements. So usually, I don't know if this person's handwriting orders anymore. They're probably typing it into the computer. I don't even know if the customer's using a phone. They might be using the computer directly, and it's processed. So then all the components are ordered. The minute they know that that customer ordered that, then the production begins as the parts arrive. Lots of times in just-in-time manufacturing, the suppliers are very close to the manufacturer. If you noticed in Toyota, they had the tsunami and they practiced this, and all of their suppliers are right around their plant in Japan. Well, it really killed production when all of the suppliers were out because of the tsunami. So what ended up happening is they couldn't produce because a tsunami is a hard thing to predict, of course. They produced in other places around the world, but in their Japan plant they could not because they wait until the customer places the order to have the components ordered to arrive, and then the goods are delivered to the customer. This is called lean production or just in time. In a traditional manufacturing setting, we used to produce goods to anticipate sales, and then we would store the inventory, and then we would make sales from final finished goods. The problem with this is technology changes all the time, so we might not be producing the right number of goods. We have to guess how many people want, which is a very difficult thing, and then we must pay big fees for storing these goods, and then when a customer finally orders it, we ship it. Because lean thinking only allows production in response to customer orders, the number of units produced tends to equal the number of units sold. So you don't have a lot of finished goods inventory in this situation. The lean approach also results in fewer defects, less waste, and quicker customer response times than traditional production methods. This way, if I'm producing a computer as you need it, if everyone's now using an i7 and I want to switch, I can just switch to the i7 because I don't have a whole bunch of i5 parts hanging out or finished goods. I can keep up to date with the technology in a much faster way. TOC, also called the theory of constraints. A constraint, also called a bottleneck, is anything that prevents you from getting more of what you want. Theory of constraints is based on an observation that effectively managing the constraint is the key to your success. The constraint in a system is determined by the step that has the smallest capacity. For example, the very first thing we must do is identify the weakest link. So where is the constraint? Allow the weakest link to set the tempo. If I am trying to run a marathon, but I can only walk so far, I'm trying to run a group marathon, and we all have to finish, then we're only as good as our quote-unquote weakest link, right? So the weakest link sets the tempo. Then we focus on improving the weakest link. So if I had the fastest marathon runner ever, but I also had a person who's never run a marathon on our team, and it's a team time, then improving the fastest person doesn't work. The only way we get better is improving the weakest link. Recognize the weakest link is stronger, and then only take actions that strengthen the weakest link in the chain will improve the process. There's an example in the book that goes over this that actually talks about patients in surgery. And so you would identify that they can only do 15 patients a day in surgery. All the other ones have 100 patients, 50 patients. But if they can't increase the number of patients they see in surgery, the bottleneck or constraint, then they can't do anything else. And then we have measurement skills. In order to become a good manager complements an understanding of strategy, risk, and business process with data-driven analysis. The key to effective analysis is to understand the question you are addressing defines what you will measure. So this is really key. The question that you are addressing defines what you will measure in management accounting. So if we are measuring what net income should my company report to stockholders, then measure and report historical data that complies with applicable rules. Now, if I'm trying to measure how will my company serve its customers, measure and analysis is mostly non-financial and process-oriented because we're trying to figure out, do we serve our customers? Are they happy? We got to measure something other than net income. And how will my company need to borrow money? Will my company need to borrow money? Now I must go forward and estimate future cash flows to see if I might need to borrow money. Measurement skills. So the primary focus of this course is to teach measurement skills that managers use to support planning, controlling, and decision-making activities. This is the focus of our course. They have listed 6 skills of an effective leader. 1. Technical competence. 2. High integrity. 3. Understanding how to implement organizational change. 4. Strong communication skills. 5. Capable of motivating and mentoring other people. And 6. Effectively managing team-based decision processes. You will work in a team in this class, a team of 2, for your Makeit project, and think about how all of these are really integrated into your Makeit project. There's also a very important focus of ethics in business. The IMA, their Institute of Management Accountants, statement of ethical practice, professional practice consists of 2 parts. 1, ethical behavior, and 2, resolution for an ethical conflict. Guidelines for ethical behavior. This is listed in your book. I'm just going to briefly go through it. The first part for ethical behavior is competence. You must maintain professional competence. You must recognize and communicate professional limitations that preclude responsible judgment. If I know I can't complete a project and I'm not qualified, then I don't want to go and say I am. You must follow applicable laws, rules, and regulations and standards. And you must provide accurate, clear, concise, timely decision support information. So you must be competent. Confidentiality. This is very important. Do not disclose confidential information unless you are legally obligated to do so. Ensure that subordinates do not disclose confidential information. And do not use confidential information for illegal or unethical advantage. Integrity. You should refrain from conduct that would prejudice carrying out duties ethically. So you don't want to put yourself in a place where your integrity is questioned. Mitigate conflicts of interest and advise others of potential conflicts of interest. If I say something up front, there's all kinds of ways, but if I hide this, then my integrity will come into question even if I didn't do anything. Abstain from activities that might discredit the profession. And then credibility. Communicate information fairly and objectively. Disclose delays or deficiencies in information, timeliness, process, or internal controls, and disclose all relevant information that could influence users' understanding of reports and recommendations. Guidelines for an ethical resolution. Follow the employer's established guidelines. For an unresolved ethical conflict, discuss the conflict with an immediate supervisor or the next highest uninvolved manager. If immediate supervisor is the CEO, consider the board of directors or an audit committee. Or contact the levels above. The immediate supervisor should only be initiated with the supervisor's knowledge, assuming the supervisor is not involved. So this is just a guideline for ethical conflict resolution. Except when legally prescribed, communication with individuals not employed by the organization is not appropriate. Clarify relevant ethical information issues with an objective advisor, such as a member of the IMA's counsel service. Consult an attorney regarding your legal responsibility if you find yourself in one of these positions. Why would we even have ethical standards? Ethical standards in business are essential to a smoothly functioning economy. Without ethical standards in business, the economy and all of us who depend on it for jobs, goods, services would suffer. Abandoning ethical standards in business would lead to lower quality of life and less desirable goods and services at higher prices. One of the things we talk about frequently in the news is corporate social responsibility. It's a concept whereby organizations consider the needs of all stakeholders when they make a decision. So how is this going to affect my customers, my employees, my suppliers, the communities, stockholders, the environment, and human rights advocates? This extends beyond legal compliance to include voluntary actions that satisfy stakeholders' expectations. Most publicly traded companies have a statement of corporate responsibility. They show where they give to charity and all the things they do to be environmentally friendly and sustainable to all of these people. I'm not going to go over this. You can take a look at it. And that is the end of chapter 1. Welcome to Cost Accounting for the HCC Elms College Accelerated Program. This is the welcome video. Due to the lovely weather in New England, we have canceled live class. So I'm going to overview the syllabus and expectations and how to use the Moodle to complete this first week online. So overall, we're learning about decision making and management, cost accounting. We will use Moodle and Microsoft Excel. In Moodle, if you look, there's training videos. All you have to do is click on the folder. I'm logged into the class already. And it shows you how to navigate the course, how to send a message, upload assignment, etc. I'm assuming that you've all used Moodle at this point. Now, if you click Course Ride Resources, this is where I have posted the syllabus. So I'm going to click on the syllabus and I'm going to overview the syllabus with you. So, the required materials from here, my email is listed on here and on the front of the class. I have office hours during the week, during the day for Elms, but you can just call and make an appointment if you need tutoring or something else. And I've listed my cell phone number on here in case you need to get a hold of me. We are using Managerial Accounting for Managers 3rd edition, and the ISBN number is here. It was given to the HCC bookstore. You will also need a computer with access to Microsoft Excel and the internet. And then the Makeit Project, which will be explained in a completely separate video, you need $5 minimum. There's an overview of the course description and then student learning outcomes. We will do this by homework, class discussion, research papers, exams, quizzes, and the final Makeit Project. So, how you'll be evaluated. Homework and quizzes will be combined for a total of 20% of your grade. Attendance and participation will be 10% of your grade. There will be 2 exams for 50% of the grade, and your final Makeit Project will be 20% of the grade. All homework assignments must be submitted in Moodle prior to the scheduled class time. Homework will be graded as individual assignments. While I do encourage cooperative learning, I expect that each individual will create their own Excel and work on it. Even if you work together, that you will turn in your own work and not just copy someone else's work. The homework is an effort grade. If you attempt the homework and you make an effort and try to complete it and turn it in prior to the due date, even if it's incorrect, you will receive 100. I accept no late homework. Late is 0. So your choice on this homework effort grade is 100 if you try it, 0 if you don't, or if it's late. For the quizzes, each chapter will have quizzes related to the text and the reading. And so these quizzes will cover certain chapters. They're not meant to penalize you, but rather reward you for completing your work. Examinations. There will be 2 exams. These exams will cover the material from the text, problems, and the lectures. The exams will be worth 50% of your final grade. Makeup exams will only be allowed with prior approval to the instructor prior to the exam. So if you have a problem, I encourage you to contact me immediately. The exams will actually be given on Moodle and not in class. And our final category, which is attendance and participation. Students are expected to participate regularly and actively in classroom discussions. Without substantial participation, you cannot get an A in this class. Most importantly, this is your class and you are in charge of making the best of it, or the worst of it. As your professor, I will bring my best to class and make a positive learning experience. I look to each of you to contribute your portion. There is a grading rubric in Moodle for attendance and participation. And this means coming to class prepared, participating, commenting, asking questions, and adding to the discussion. The final Makeit project. This will be 20% of your grade. Your groups will be 2 people in a group for this class. And you will work together in teams of 2 to make a project of your choice. Your project must meet the following criteria to be acceptable. You must spend at least $5 in materials. It must take you and your partner more than 2 hours to make the final product. And the product must be useful and marketable. Each group will present their Makeit project and calculations during the final week of classes. The presentation must be between 5 to 7 minutes, and all calculations will be submitted throughout the semester through Moodle. A schedule of due dates will be forthcoming. And restrictions. You cannot use a kit. You must do the work yourself, and you must be able to cost out all of the subcontracted work. During the scheduled final exam period, each team will present their project in class. Please note, at least 4 pictures of the project being made must be included in your final presentation. Your peers, as well as the instructor and former students and local professionals, will grade each group. We will have guests in our final class. Each group will submit a summary, including the elements listed below, throughout the semester. Make sure you document any assumptions you made and what you assumed for the labor rate and your time. Your project must be selected during the first 2 weeks of the semester. Each team must select a unique project, so it's a first come, first served basis. You must be able to answer what is the product, what is the project's use, how will it be marketed. You must draw a production flow diagram. What are the total costs to produce? What are fixed and variable? What are material, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead? What method of costing will you use? Job costing, process costing? What would you sell this product for, and how did you determine a selling price? Assume some level of sales and calculate a contribution margin and the contribution margin ratio. What is break even? How much would you need to sell to make $5,000 in dollars and units? What is the process time for your product? What is the cycle time? What would be a throughput for a 4-hour day? What is production rate? And what did you learn? This must be a 1-page paper on what did you learn from this. There is a grading rubric that is posted in Moodle. Please use your ELMS email address to contact me. That way I can easily track email confirmations through your name and your ELMS email. And I will respond within 48 hours of receipt. And there's a course schedule posted with details in Moodle. This is an overview of the syllabus. There is a course outline. This course outline is also reflected in Moodle. So the outline has already been changed due to snow, and it tells you what the expectations for the in-class or online portion will be, what the intended learning objectives, what am I getting, what do I hope you learn when you're done these projects, and then what is your homework. All homework is due prior to the next class, 5:30 p.m. the following Friday, unless otherwise noted. And so you can look at this detailed schedule, but if there is a change, it will first be reflected in Moodle. So I'd like to note that just due to scheduling conflicts, this was supposed to be a live class, And next week is an online class. I'm not available. I'm not in the area next Friday. So next week will be an online class. During this online week, I'm covering the overview and the Makeit Project. I am also covering chapter 1 and 2. These will be separate videos. So I will post an overview of chapter 1 and 2, and then a video of me completing the in-class exercises like we would if we were actually in class. I will post my Excel file, and that should help you complete the homework problems. Remember, homework is an effort grade, so you want to make an attempt and turn it in by the due date. So homework is due by next class. So the way this class works is today is an online class. We will cover the welcome syllabus and Makeit overview project. Watch the video. That's what I'm creating right now, and you'll watch it. We will cover chapter 1 in a video format, and then we will cover chapter 2, and these are the in-class exercises I will cover. Your homework is to read chapter 1 and answer questions 1.1 through 1.15 and post that to Moodle by 1:10 by 5:30 p.m. Your homework for chapter 2 is to read chapter 2 and complete the following exercises. Questions 2.1 through 2.7, exercise 2.1, 2.6, 2.11, problems 2.14 and 2.16. And then read chapter 3 for the following online week. How you turn in the homework. You would click homework due 1:10 for chapter 1. You would then go ahead and actually let me switch my role to a student. You don't have this feature. And this is what it would look like. It would say questions 1.1 through 1:15. You just click add submission and add a file. So this is where you turn in your answers to the question. As long as you do this before the due date and you made an attempt, you will have 100. If not, it will be a 0. And the same thing works for chapter 2. So you turn in homework chapter 1 and chapter 1's link. You turn on homework chapter 2 and chapter 2's link. And all the videos related to this is the Makeit Project overview, so you'll need to watch this, will be posted here. So I have not completed the chapter 1 and 2 videos, but I will today, and I will post them. If you ever get into Moodle and it looks like this and you want to see the whole week, click here. And then the calendar over here tells you what is due and when. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me via email or on my cell phone. All the PowerPoints for this class are posted here in PowerPoints. So chapter 1 through chapter 12, those are the chapters that we'll be covering. All the PowerPoints are posted here. They're already posted in advance. The final thing in the overview that I'd like to cover is the participation and attendance grade. During an online week, if you complete your work, that counts as participation. So if you are absent, you get a 0. If you are late, but you don't respond, you get a 1. If you are prepared and know the basic facts, but you don't show evidence that you're trying to interpret them or analyze them, or you don't offer contribution, you get a 2 for this. And this will count for 10% of your grade. And then if you demonstrate good preparation and case facts and you contribute in an ongoing way, you'll get a 3. And if you are very active and involved in class or online, you are not late to live class, you will get a 4. If you have any questions about this, so each week you will get a participation grade. I will manually grade this, and participation will be part of 10%. So basically, I'm just trying to encourage participation. And this is an overview of your class each week. It says whether it is online. So we have an online class the first 2 weeks, and then after that, this class will meet live every other time. And all of your projects are due here. You must pick a team for your Makeit project. And so there's an overview of the Makeit project, and you pick one teammate for the Makeit project. So there are teams of 2. And you need to respond to this online forum by just hitting Add New Topic. And I would say my team, my This is a test to show how to post to the forum. Please pick your teammate for the Makeit Project. All you do is do that. I'm not adding an attachment, and I'm just going to hit post. You have 30 minutes to make changes, but here's my topic, my team. So, each folder has something on here, and the test we will cover in live class before that. If you have any questions, again, please contact me via email.